When someone asks me who the most powerful person is on this planet, I answer with George Soros. The ability to break an entire country's economy, just with the power of everyday investors, people were considered normal, is unrivaled. In 1992, Soros broke the Bank of England. His work there forced the British government to pull the pound away from the European rate mechanism. I think that anyone who can single-handedly force the government to do anything is considered powerful. But I'm not going to talk about his work in England, and instead I'll talk about what he did 5 years later in Thailand. How he broke the Thai baht and got himself barred from entering the country. In 1997, the Thai baht was pegged to the US dollar. This meant that there was a fixed exchange rate between these two foreign currencies. If the Thai baht was ever too weak, the Bank of Thailand would sell their USD reserves to keep the exchange rate stable. So in this way, the Thai baht would always stay at 25 baht per $1. The economic situation in Thailand at the time was not reflected on the currency. Soros noticed that the Thai baht was artificially too strong, which was similar to the incident 5 years ago in England. He believed that there was a dissimilarity in the perceived government-set currency and what he himself thought the currency should have been. So Soros' hedge fund, the Quantum Fund, as well as several other speculators, sparked the start of the dawn of the Thai baht. They did this by borrowing a large sum of baht, an equivalent of $1 billion from the Thai banks, and exchanged the money for US dollars. At this time, there was only $30 billion worth of Thai baht in the bank's foreign exchange. The bank could not reject Soros' request because that would be evidence that the baht was weak, and many other speculators would latch on and the currency would devalue. With such a large sum of money gone from Thai banks, just from Soros' fund, they started to panic. If the Bank of Thailand did not react, the baht would also devalue. So to prevent this, the bank started to raise interest rates and buy their own currency on the foreign exchange with their own US dollars to keep the exchange rate stable. They went to large measures to make sure their currency didn't devalue. At this time, the bank also had billions of bad debt. They spent the majority of the rest of their money to cover that debt and the speculators' first attack. The baht was still artificially strong, but the gap between what the baht should have been and what it was to the public was growing. But the bank was doing a good job at covering this up. The Thai public did not know that the bank had no money left in foreign exchanges, so if the speculators were to bet against the Thai baht again, the bank would fall and the economy would be left in a very bad state. And that is exactly what happened. Though the Quantum Fund's initial attack on the baht had failed, they bet even more against the baht, and this time, their attack was successful. The Bank of Thailand had no more money left to defend their currency. As the Bank of Thailand weakened, more hedge funds bet against the baht and amplified the attack. Eventually, the bank broke, and by mid-1997, the baht bubble popped and devalued. However, because of the bank's foolish attempts at stopping the first speculator's attack, there was not much money left to bring the economy back to their initial position before the attacks. After the crash, the baht was left floating according to natural supply and demand. The baht weakened to 50 baht per $1. Soros sold his US dollars into baht to repay what he borrowed and profited greatly. The attack on Thailand created waves in the entire Asian economy, which turned into the infamous Asian financial crisis. If what Soros did in Thailand doesn't impress you, I don't know what will.